All right. Good morning, everybody. The All About Nothing podcast. But
And that's a wrap.
that's it. Good morning, everyone, to the All About Nothing podcast, kind of daily show. I am Barrett Gruber, host of the All About Nothing podcast with Zach King, and you can find me on social media at Barrett Gruber. Welcome, Mr. Bill Kimler, who, of course, hosts of Black, White, and Blue in the South with Dr. Jamil Brooks. You can follow him at Political Bill SC. Links in the show notes for both of our podcasts. Welcome back, Bill.
Thank you. I actually have an important announcement to make regarding our podcast.
Okay.
I'm happy to say that the Black, White, and Blue in the South podcast has been nominated for Best Local Podcast in Columbia with Free Times. So we're going to go direct head-to-head with you and take you down. And I see Ami's show, Welcome to Wonderland, is also looking to be nominated. So we're going to have a little internal civil war here at Big Media Empire LLC.
I'm here for it.
That's right.
Yeah, you can check links in the show notes for best of Columbia 2025 nominating, as well as you can find there's a bunch of stuff out there to nominate people for too. So
see, we recorded one episode in Columbia, so now we are technically considered a local podcast.
Look, I will be honest with you. I have done Midas and Fame's podcast, No Shortcuts, several times now. And they also are in the hunt for.
Are they the chiropractors?
No, they are not. They're not the cultists. They do a Tuesday live podcast on YouTube every week, where basically they invite business owners and entrepreneurs and things like that to come onto the show and make discuss what they do, how they got to doing what they do. It's a very interesting conversation. I don't understand why they have me on, except that I think I'm just on there to hit the cymbals for them.
Well, I'll tell you, we recorded Sunday afternoon in Columbia with Representative Heather Bauer, and this would be almost our 60th episode. So we're up to episode 58 now.
Okay.
Barrett, it was the worst recording experience I have ever gone through. Oh, it was horrible. Heather was great, so it wasn't the guest, but we kept losing power. The show kept getting disconnected. Heather's microphone started producing crazy static, and we had to try another microphone to get it to work, and we were replacing cords. The air conditioning in the center kept going on, so all we were getting was air blowing down right into all of our microphones. I have begun work on editing it. I'm about a third of the way through, and I'm making magic out of the crap we recorded. Content was fine, but the technical recording, it was the worst experience that we have ever had.
That's frustrating.
I felt really bad for Heather, as we had to keep rebooting. Things we were plugged in that actually weren't plugged in, and it was not the professional routine that I'm accustomed to. So. Yeah. But the end result, you're not going to know the difference. That's the important thing.
That's impressive. We recorded an episode last night out at the M Avenue Ballpark with Bill and I, and we had me there as our foul line reporter or dugout reporter or whatever. But Bill and I did the play-by-play with the coordinator of the Everplay Sports and Social League, Alex Avenger. We did play-by-play for a kickball game that was. This was my scorecard. I don't know if you can see it, but
it's all white to me. I'm not seeing any detail, but I get it.
Is.
Okay.
The score in last night's game, let me see, 5, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. The score in the game was 15-0. This was the first place team and third place team. And the two teams, the team that won, Kick and Chill, you would think that these were two professional, like you would think that this was a professional team, like that there was, that they were being paid or sponsored by someone. The team that was in third place called You Can't Stop a Train, TRANE, like the air conditioner. They were outplayed at every single maneuver. Like when you looked across the Kick and Chill team in the field, it was almost as if they were strategically placed to not leave any area where someone couldn't get to an empty space within microseconds. When you saw the you can't stop a train team out in the field. It was almost like watching T-ball, like 6-year-old T-ball, where some of the players would be just like grouped into one area.
Wait a minute, these aren't kids that you were.
These are adults.
And you were doing play-by-play, and
Yeah.
he was doing dugout reporting. Did you lose a bet? Did you owe somebody some money? What's going on here?
I will say that we do kind of owe. Essentially what it is that the All About Nothing podcast is now the official podcast of the Ever Play Sports and Social League. So once a season,
it's part of their routine.
Yeah,
I got it.
Once a season, we're going to go out
there.
Hey,
you know what? It's keeping them off the streets. It's keeping them out of gangs and drugs. So at least the winning team, the losing team probably went home and did drugs.
Yeah,
after such a bad thrashing. But I get it. That's good.
All these middle-aged people out there playing adult kickball.
Well, Barrett, I missed you on Tuesday. I heard your show. You are absolutely better off without me.
Oh, that isn't true.
I saw the TikTok comments. It was pretty unanimous as well. They were like, "This is a much smoother show without BK in the mix." So, but I show up anyway. So as long as you want me here, I'll be here.
That feels more than incorrect. And trust me, at some point you're gonna have to roll back all of those comments, because that's the state we are in now.
Well, listen, I actually may not be doing the show much longer now that I am super wealthy, because I followed Trump's advice yesterday morning and I bought stocks when he told me to buy stocks. So I put all my cash into stocks, tripled my investment, and now I'm out yacht shopping this afternoon. So thank you, President Trump. He has made my wallet great again. So I appreciate that little bit of insider trading.
Is there
stock manipulation? That was tip of the hat.
Is there a size limit to the yachts that you can get that can be put into Lake Greenwood over there? There has to be, right?
We live in a lawless country now. What does it matter?
There's
no limitations. There's no rules or regulations. There's no oversight. Everything
goes,
untrue. Buddy.
That is not
untrue. Golden age. Golden age, I tells you.
It feels. I brought this up. And I don't remember who I was talking to. I was talking to somebody about this. But if the Democrats take back the House in 2026, which I feel pretty good about, because historically most presidents do lose either the House and the Senate, or at least the House or at least the Senate. And I suspect that they will. I don't think that there's a whole lot that the Democrats will be able to get done with a Donald Trump still in office after 2026. I don't.
Are you kidding me? If the House is Democrat,
and
we should have an impeachment a week.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what they can accomplish.
So that was what I was going to say. Every other day, throw out impeachment charges. Have the House vote on it. All the Democrats vote.
There's no shortage. There's no shortage.
I'd love to see how many.
It is a bounty.
Yeah, I would love to see how many impeachments we could get under a Trump presidency, if we could get that number up above 100 to be the first president.
This is the year for records to be broken. We had Cory Booker break a record for the longest speech given on the Senate floor. So now we have another record. We can break the number of impeachments in a given term. It's a year for records to be broken.
I'm here for it. I think that would be a lot of fun. I think that would be a lot of fun.
Yes.
Yeah, it would be really nice if we could see enough seats. You know what, though? So with that in mind, I wonder if it would make sense to take back the Senate, or to take back the Senate in the number of votes necessary. What do you need? 67 votes in the Senate to convict on an impeachment? I think that's the number.
Yeah.
Would it be worth it to get enough in the Senate to actually convict? Because he'd be the first president ever convicted of an impeachment. Like, we haven't ever had that before. I don't know. I could go either way on that. But then you'd have JD Vance, and then we'd have to impeach JD Vance a record number of times. And then
I think a JD Vance presidency would be just fine. The guy is such a marshmallow. He would be the most ineffective, useless, like nobody likes him, even in his own party. That'd be fine. I'm okay with that.
Okay.
He'd be easy to manipulate. You just hold back his eye mascara, and then you can get him to do anything you want.
Yeah, I don't disagree. So I did. I know. Was it last week or maybe the week before? I was having some technical issues trying to play a bit from Conan O'Brien's acceptance at the Kennedy Center. Which, by the way, the Kennedy Center is. We are seeing a slew of individuals who would have performed at the Kennedy Center over the summer. They have canceled their shows out of respect for, I guess, the American people and what art is. But Conan O'Brien did accept his award as the Mark Twain Award, and I did want to play that for you because I thought that it was outstanding. So I'm going to do that.
So you're going to chance it a second time.
Said a lot of very important things, I think, especially at Mark Twain.
Twain was suspicious of populism, jingoism, imperialism, the money-obsessed mania of the Gilded Age, and any expression of mindless American might or self-importance. Above all, Twain was a patriot in the best sense of the word. He loved America, but knew it was deeply flawed. Twain wrote, "Patriotism is supporting your country all of the time, and your government when it deserves it." Now, some of you might be thinking, what does this have to do with comedy? It has everything to do with comedy. Everything. The comedy I have loved all my life. Comedy that is self-critical, deflating, and dedicated to the proposition that we are all flawed, absurd, and wallowing in the mud together. Twain is funny and important today because his comedy is a hilarious celebration of our fears, our ineptitude, and the glorious mess of being human. When we celebrate Twain, truly see him for who he was, we acknowledge our commonality, and we move just a little closer together.
Okay, so the obviously the teary-eyed, the TikTok bump at the end is a little jarring, if I'm being honest.
Conan O'Brien looks the same today as he did when he was 21 years old. It is frightening. The guy, it must be immortal. Must be immortal.
Yeah, I think that was probably part of the cancellation from NBC was that they must have let him in on some of that no aging juice that Johnny Carson took up until his his last 2 years.
So you were moved by that?
Yeah, I enjoyed Mark Twain. I enjoyed reading Tom Sawyer and some of the papers and things that Mark Twain wrote when he was authoring, and he would make fairly scathing accusations of the United States federal government in his time, and I think that it's appropriate that we have comedians that do continue to, through at least a sense of humor, try to hold power in check. And I think that I think there's a lot of value to that. I don't know that it's always effective. I think that it does tend to push some people in the opposite direction than it needs to, but that's because they're humorless or their sense of humor has been damaged by a fall down the stairs onto their neck or something.
Listen, I grew up in the golden age of comedy. Stand-up comedy was a passion. I mean, I listened to them all, George Carlin and Sam Kinison and God help us, Andrew Dice Clay. I listened and loved them all. I mean, even Bill Cosby before the accusations, I thought he was a genius. Richard Pryor, from the 70s to 80s, stand-up comedy, and even early 90s, stand-up comedy was king. You look today, who is leading? Who's an international figure in the stand-up comedy world?
Can you think of
any? There's a couple of successful people, but they're tough to name. You actually have to scratch your head and think about it.
Well, I think Shane Gillum is someone who has really risen to success, but he's hosted Saturday Night Live a few times now. But for me,
you got Dave Chappelle, who's who's running hot still, I suppose. But I can't say I've ever actually watched any of his specials. I don't know that he's hit the cultural zeitgeist.
Dave, I think he has. I think Dave Chappelle is an unbelievable.
What name a very popular or famous routine of Dave Chappelle's?
Well,
like I bet I can ask you the same question of Sam Kinison, and you can name one or two of his famous bits, or Robin Williams, or Bill Cosby.
Right.
Every kid in the world could recite one of those, but I don't know that you're going to find Dave Chappelle people reciting any of his jokes or bits that are famous.
Yeah, you're right. But I can think of, because I look at Dave Chappelle as being a funny storyteller. He has a way of telling a story where he'll give you all of the parts of the story, and then at the very end of it, he'll come back around for the punchline, which was completely associated with another joke you heard, 10 minutes earlier. But you're right. No, but Dave Chappelle, I'd have to go back to like his show on Comedy Central to think of things that it was that he did. I mean, but he would play characters in those situations. I think Jon Stewart was never a funny comic to me, but on The Daily Show, it always seemed natural. It seemed like Jon Stewart was made for that role, or the host role of The Daily Show was meant for Jon Stewart.
Like, I wonder if you'll ever see the likes of a George Carlin again. George Carlin and his 7 words you can't say on TV. Everybody I knew that whole bit by heart.
Bill Barr, I think right now is someone who is, but again, I can't name a single Bill Barr particular joke or a series.
And he's funny as anything. Yeah. I've seen him. He's great. But yeah. I just think maybe it's a different world now.
I think you're right. And I think it also is part of the reason is that even if you watch some of these comedians on TikTok where they'll do their sets, I think that they're having to, because it used to be like with Jerry Seinfeld or if you went to go see 2 Bill Cosby shows in a row, because I saw Bill Cosby once back in 1995. If he had 2 nights at a club or 3 nights at a club, he was doing the same show all 3 nights. And that's how comedians used to do it. Now comedians have to stay on top of everything. You have Josh Johnson, who's one of the correspondents for The Daily Show.
Genius. He's a genius.
He's out there though every single night doing a brand new show based purely on what went on that day or within the last few days. But I think that it's just a train of constant things going on. These comedians are always having to stay on top of it to stay topical. And I know that most of them are probably raised in that. Tom Segura, Bert Kreischer,
you're just making up names at this point, aren't you? You're just putting random syllables together. I don't know who they are.
Bert is the guy that gets on stage with his shirt off, bearded, well, I don't know if he does anymore, but
I'm not watching bearded shirtless men on a regular basis, Barrett, but everybody has their
What's great is that I'm pretty sure that the camera probably jumped over to you when you said that and did not see me pretending to take my shirt off.
It is better for the watchers and the viewers. Yes.
Better for America. Kreischer, or not, sorry, Tom Segura told a joke about how he moved to a neighborhood in Texas, and in his move, after the move and everything, he wasn't on tour, and he went out for a walk through his neighborhood. And as he's walking, someone comes running down from their house who recognized him, and they recognized each other pretty much immediately. And so the guy that came down made some sort of comment that was just crazy and made Tom Segura very uncomfortable. So they parted ways very uncomfortably. And then as Tom Segura walked away and then came back, this individual came running back down. And it was some comment about, calling someone who has sex with somebody else's daughter or whatever versus their mother. And it was a funny joke, because at the end of it, Tom Segura came back and he said, this was a state senator from Texas, and he said, I am not telling you that it was what's the badger face guy from Texas. I would have had his name if I hadn't tried to think of it. Anyway, but
I'm just trying to understand what you mean by badger faced.
It's he's the senator from Texas who everyone professes that they hate him.
U.S. Senator?
Yeah, United States
You mean
Senator.
Ted Cruz?
Ted Cruz, badger
Okay,
face.
I thought you said state senator.
Oh no, yeah, he's from the state of Texas but I call it
badger faced.
You don't think he has
I
a
gotta go look
badger
out
face?
a badger now. I don't even know what a badger looks like.
Well, he suffers from the same thing I do, which is that my beard turns white in places, but when Ted Cruz has his beard, it's like stripes, and to me it looks like a badger.
Okay.
He's
Take your word for it.
He's a badger face. Yeah, so I
so
guess
you made a joke about Ted Cruz.
And that's the one that pops up all the time. So like Tom Segura has that one, but he's only ever told that joke once. He's never told it more than once, and yet that's the one people remember him for. So I think we just live in a different world where comedians are having to be so fresh all the time that it's hard to reproduce a lot of that in the same way that older comedians did, like Sam Kinison. Like Sam Kinison screaming, "Oh," I'm not going to do it because it's very loud, but Sam Kinison was a genius. George Carlin, absolute genius. It's a different world, and I think they were facing different. They were political. They would go political, especially Kinison and Carlin.
Carlin, yeah.
So it was, and I don't know that we are in the same spectrum of fear for comedians when it comes to this, but I guess if I was somebody on tour that was constantly railing against the president, I would almost be concerned that I might be one of those people that ICE would just show up at my hotel door and be like, "You're going to El Salvador." How about that, by the way? The fact that you can mistakenly be shipped off to El Salvador, and the Supreme Court, in every attempt to try and get you back, whether it's through lawsuits and such like that, that the Supreme Court would shut down any attempt to bring back an individual. I'm basically of the mindset that if you get shipped off to El Salvador, that's a death sentence. You're never coming back, regardless of whether you were sent there incorrectly.
Are you familiar with the government and history of El Salvador?
Not really, no.
So obviously, growing up in the 80s and 90s, it was known for lots of wars and militias and so on. It was a very dark place to be, very dangerous place to live. And then this young leader emerges, is elected El Presidente there, and then begins a crime crackdown effort and a cleanup effort. And he's very popular, charismatic, but he used the full might of his military and police to squash all of the gangs, all of the crime. But think of it in terms of going far overboard, where for every 5 guilty people, he was rounding up 2 innocent and locking them up. And he created this massive for-profit prison system where they have turned into concentration camps. And if you do something like steal a loaf of bread, into the concentration camp you go. So now you're looking at a very authoritarian state. So is crime down and has order been restored? Sure. But it also has come at the cost of any due process, any court system, any trials, any being able to prove innocence. It's as far from a democracy as you can get. And so for our government to make a deal with that government, the Trump administration realized that El Salvador does not have the moral laws that we're governed by for the most part. So we'll ship all of our unwanted people to them and they'll happily take it. And we're paying them. Like, this is a financial arrangement. We're paying to support their prison systems, and they're happy to pack them in. They'll put rival gangs into the same cell with each other and let them battle it out and kill each other off. So you are absolutely right that you might as well consider it a death sentence, because that is what El Salvador has become in terms of their prison system.
It is basically a prison state.
And the fact that we've partnered with them, it's like we might as well have partnered with the Germans and Auschwitz. Like that's who we're partnering with right now.
And they're still that way. Are they? Is El Salvador still?
No. Germans are okay now. They're good people. We do business with them just fine.
except during the World Cup.
I don't know. I don't know if you had read your history books, but yeah, they're cool now.
El
So are the
Salvador.
Japanese, by the way, just so you know, they're cool now.
El Salvador, is that still roughly the same? Is it the same president running the country for the last?
Yeah, that was a
40
recent
years?
development. That wasn't like the 90s I'm talking about. That's a recent development last few years.
Oh, okay. Good.
So this is the current state of El Salvador now.
Does El Salvador, and I'm only asking because I haven't looked it up, but is El Salvador, is it a democracy in the sense that they hold elections, or is it okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, I described it basically as a prison state. Is essentially the it's El Salvador exists purely for the refuse of the criminal activity for the Western Hemisphere.
I think it would be a good exercise, excuse me, to look up prison populations as a percentage of overall population. And I know the United States was leading the world in terms of incarcerated population.
Yeah.
And I wonder where we sit now relative to El Salvador.
That's a good question.
And if we're not 1 and 2, I would not be surprised.
I can that information is probably pretty easy to access. So I'll pull that for our next episode. But it's such a weird situation that we have ourselves in with all of this. And somebody asked me, said, you do a fairly political podcast where you talk shit about the president, the Republicans, and whatnot. I said, are you in fear at all of being put into one of these camps? And potentially, I told him, I said, not in the sense that I would stop doing what I'm doing. I am more afraid of particular.
Turn it around. Ask them, are they in fear of a trans athlete playing against them?
Yeah.
And then ask them,
right.
why are they so up in arms about that?
Right.
So it's funny how it works for some issues that if it doesn't impact you, why are you so bothered by it? Yet look at their platform on DEI and trans students and things that never will impact them in a million years. And yet that becomes their top priorities when it comes to politicians.
Well, I'll tell you this. I think that John Oliver on Last Week Tonight, this week, or this past Sunday's episode, did a fantastic job. His staff did a fantastic job of breaking down all of the transgender accusations that the president's made. They brought in they brought in video of the young girl that was, or the teenager that was hit in the face with the volleyball, and pointed out that that her injuries from being hit in the face, and nobody wants to get hit in the face in volleyball. I played volleyball for years and didn't, I never took one in the face because, this is the moneymaker. And but they also acknowledge the fact that within weeks of her supposed paralyzing injury, that she played softball, and she was the catcher she was the catcher that played for 5 straight wins in a row. So there were things that were said during Trump's speech and things said on the different right-wing news stations about how a trans athlete caused this. And then in the end, it wasn't even really, no one could really make for certain whether or not the girl that did the spike that hit the other one in the face was a trans athlete. That there was, there were so many falsehoods that couldn't be.
It was as
proven.
Mysterious as Trump's ear injury.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Couldn't find any evidence.
It's interesting how that's been coming up a lot lately, because there is, we still have not, no one has broken down who the individual was that did the shooting.
Didn't they dispose of his corpse before
Yes,
the FBI got a chance to do any investigation? Right. They cremated him like within hours.
Yeah.
There's a story to be had there. Absolutely. The whole thing is so suspicious from top to bottom.
I don't know.
I mean, you can almost see, if you freeze frame that whole incident, you can see the packet of ketchup in Trump's hand, as the gunfire went out and he puts his hand up to his ear. You could see the ketchup. Like you zoom in and freeze frame and enhance the image. There it is, Hunt's right there, a little thing in his hand.
We'll wrap it up on this. One of the things that I read recently was that the individuals that were the Secret Service during that incident that those Secret Service agents are no longer on Trump's detail and have not been on Trump's detail since hours after the incident. And I would think that maybe that's normal protocol, that in an incident like that, you would rotate out the Secret Service. What has also been acknowledged is that nobody apparently, and somebody else would have to find this information, but because I'm certainly not going to waste my time researching it, but those individual Secret Service agents cannot be identified by name. When you go back and you look at the video of them, they apparently have no record of being Secret Service agents that any other Secret Service agents can look at and go, oh, that's Tom, that's Agnes, you know. Little odd. It's an odd situation where normally Secret Service agents, you know, people know who they are. I had a cousin that was a Secret Service agent. Like, so we know. It's a little weird. Anything else? When is the episode with Heather Bauer going to come out? Next Wednesday?
I'm not sure. No, I want it out by this weekend at the latest. It was supposed to be out yesterday. That would have been our normal release, but with my travel and with the technical issues, this is going to take a lot more loving and editing.
Okay.
But I'm aiming for this weekend. It'll be out.
Well, don't forget, you can either nominate the All About Nothing podcast for Best of Columbia. You can nominate Black, White, Blue in the South. Also,
now, have you not been nominated yet?
Well, I would. So
you're nominated.
I feel like we probably are, but they will take. So what they do is they take in as many nominations over the course of between now and April 30th. And it's either the top 4 or the top 6.
Okay,
podcasts.
so it's not a nomination like where you just submit your name and you're nominated. It is a top. It's like kind of a pre-vote. You're taking the top 4 early vote, and those become the 4 nominees.
Correct. So continue to nominate everyone.
Got it.
But yeah, so you can go to our webpage, theallaboutnothing.com. There's a link at the very top of the page where you can click on a link and select, just write in Black, White, Blue in the South, or Welcome to Wonderland, or No Shortcuts, or the All About Nothing podcast.
No, don't do Black, White, and Blue in the South, because you know what? We would win, and I have no desire to go to this ball.
That's my thing too. I don't want to go.
So I will actively tank my own nomination. So no, thank you. I take that back. Retracted.
Right. Fair. I just want one of these. I just want another one of those.
I can print one up for you this afternoon if you like.
I can print one too. I can print one too. We can go ahead and claim it. But yeah, so well, on that bombshell, it's going to wrap it up for today. Big thanks to everybody for tuning in. Don't forget to follow me at Barrett Gruber and Mr. Bill here at Political Bill SC. You can catch us live every Tuesday and Thursday at 5:30 a.m. Eastern. And we do this exact same thing every single time. Sort of a little different every time, but the same. So until next time, you all stay safe, be kind, keep your hands to yourself. Anything else, Bill?
Nope. Keep your hands off me. Thank you.
There you go. Very good. Very good. I'm glad you made it home safe.